the successful fourth and final test flight of their Starship prototype, Starhopper. The craft is an early conceptual model that Musk hopes will bring the company closer to its ultimate goal, creating a 100-person Starship capable of transporting humans to Mars.
I think in the private sector, oddly, there's the potential to have at least more public disclosure, given the fact that the Air Force have been so unwilling to try to seriously review and release what they do know.
As far as many ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, the ongoing efforts to privatize space exploration by everyone from Elon Musk and Amazon.com billionaire Jeff Bezos to Robert Bigelow and Virgin Atlantic's Richard Branson will soon make secrecy about UFOs and possible alien visitations a thing of the past.
Sooner or later, there will be space tourists. So what if they walk on the surface of Mars or the surface of the moon and will walk by an artifact? Well, am I allowed to take a selfie? Am I allowed to take a photo? Or do I have to go through NASA first? You're not going to ask NASA for permission first. The fact that we are now entering this new era in space exploration illustrates to me that the doors are open.
In a world that includes 24-hour news, WikiLeaks, and a growing number of corporate space entrepreneurs, is discovering the truth about aliens simply inevitable.
Throughout history, governments have never been able to keep a secret. Look at all the so-called secrets that are being exposed almost on a daily basis. Governments are furious that some lowly clerk is simply leaking all this evidence into the public domain. And so I think this can happen anywhere. But at that point, what do we do?
I think there is huge public interest in this, and everyone wants to know what's going on. Why will the government not tell us?
Well, whose government is it? Does it belong to some GS-13, some bureaucrat? Of course not. We pay for it. We own it. This is a democracy. The default setting in DC is secrecy. There are still documents from the First World War, which was 102 years ago, that are classified. So there's a lot of information. If you want to fix that, what you need is just political will. You need someone to stand up and say, I'm not going to be quiet. Look me in the eye. Speak slowly so I can understand. Why are we not sharing this with public? I want to make this to public.
London, England, January 2010. Scientists, academics, and researchers gather at the Royal Society for a conference titled The Detection of Extraterrestrial Life and the Consequences for Science and Society. Although their stated goal is to create protocols for the world of extraterrestrial visitation, they are unable to come up with a cohesive plan. In fact, thus far, no official protocol for post-disclosure world has been offered by the United Nations, the U.S. government, or any other global superpower.
We have military plans, economic plans, we've got healthcare plans for people, but no plan for the single most important event in human history? How can that be, or why is that?
In government, you call it a low probability, high impact scenario. Even if you think something is unlikely to happen, if the societal consequences of it happening are big enough, you sure as heck need a plan. There isn't one for extraterrestrials. There should be.
We have to prep the population, prep humanity for what this means. That's not something that could be done in a week or two. That's going to require a long, long discussion, ethical discussion, political discussion about humanity and the place in the universe and so on. That's a long process.
As far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, about alien encounters is revealed by the powers, renegade journalists, whistleblowers, or the extraterrestrials themselves. This
exciting times to be alive. And what I hope for after full disclosure is that we finally come together as one human species and understanding that we are on this blue marble together.
I think it would change humanity's consciousness.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now.
Perhaps much like when the astronauts first took photos of the Earth from space, and you began to see the fragility and the beauty of the Earth when shot from the moon. That, I think, changed the way people relate to the natural world, to our place in the universe, and it could have the same kind of effect.
This will come from us, not from a big daddy government. This is going to come from the people. Disclosure is up to individuals in this world asking the right questions, because questions are weapons. If we ask the right questions, we're going to get the right answers.
I think that next time you're with the President on Air Force One, you should give him a couple of beers and get the conversation going and say, "Tom, what's going on?"
You know, funny thing is, I was at Air Force One. I had dinner with him alone, and I should have asked him that. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, it's nice to meet you in person.
If mankind really is on the verge of discovering that extraterrestrials not only exist, but that they've been right here on Earth throughout human history, will it really come as a shock? Or will it really be a confirmation of the truth that somehow we've always known deep within ourselves? It is for this reason that ancient astronaut theorists believe disclosure isn't an event that others must trigger in order for it to happen. It's happening every day. And it's not because information we are receiving has changed. What's changed is the way we interpret it and our willingness to accept the simple fact that we are not alone. Planets similar to our own. The discoveries of exoplanets over the past few years have been absolutely extraordinary, and many could soon be within the grasp of our technology.
Civilizations over millions of years could have risen and fallen even before the Earth was formed.
But if we can reach out in pursuit of life on other worlds, might they also be reaching out to us? And have they been doing so for thousands of years?
Could it be that ancient civilizations, ancient aliens from far away, migrated from their home worlds, and they found Earth?
The implications for humanity are enormous. There is a doorway in the universe. Beyond it is the promise of truth. It demands we question everything we have ever been taught. The evidence is all around us. The future is right before our eyes. We are not alone. We have never been alone. Cape Canaveral, Florida, April 18th, 2018. At 6:51 p.m., a Falcon 9 rocket blasts off on a mission to deploy NASA's newest space telescope into orbit. The Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS.
TESS is like a survey of the whole sky, a survey of the nearest 100 light years or so of planets and stars.
Over the next decade, scientists expect that TESS will fulfill its primary mission to discover thousands of so-called exoplanets.
Exoplanets are planets that exist outside of our solar system, or certainly in
the development of deep space satellites and high-powered telescopes that a more accurate understanding of nearby planets, especially planets capable of supporting human life, has been possible. But it wasn't so long ago that the notion of Earth-like planets existing in our galaxy wasn't simply unknown. It was considered blasphemy. When the 16th century Italian philosopher and cosmologist Giordano Bruno expressed his belief in an infinity of worlds and raised the possibility that other planets could harbor life, he was charged with heresy and burned at the stake.
It was heretical, revolutionary to believe that there could be alien life out there. Giordano Bruno was burned alive in the streets of Rome. And what was his crime? To say that there are aliens out there on other planets.
Weren't allowed to think like that. That challenged all their predispositions and their power structure. No, there are no other worlds. There's nothing out there. But there is something out there. There's no question about it.
As recently as the early 1990s, astronomers were still unable to detect these distant planets, even with high-powered telescopes.
It's hard to see an exoplanet. Imagine trying to look at a far-flung next to a spotlight. It's incredibly difficult because stars shine their own light. They give off their own light, but planets reflect light. A typical star is about 10 billion times brighter than the planet.
Thanks to remarkable advances in technology, astronomers made the very first discovery of an exoplanet in 1992 using an Earth-based telescope. But that search kicked into high gear in 2009 with the launch of Kepler, the first space telescope specially designed to find exoplanets. And in 2018, Kepler was replaced by the even more powerful TESS.
So one of the really cool things about TESS, the new satellite that NASA's put up, is basically it was specifically designed to detect exoplanets by what's called the transit method, which is where a planet goes in front of a star and blocks the light briefly, and you really see the light blink on and off.
That telltale dip is what tells you there might be something that's passing in front of it. The regularity tells you that they orbit, which is the easiest way to actually start looking for new planets.
Although the initial objective in the search for exoplanets was simply to determine how many stars in our galaxy
some form of life elsewhere in the universe.
But in spite of the abundance of habitable exoplanets, many scientists still cling to the notion that the only kind of life likely to exist outside of Earth is microbial or bacterial. They are resistant to what they claim are far-fetched notions that these planets might not only contain more sophisticated or evolved life forms, but intelligent life forms, some much more evolved or technologically advanced than our own.
Think about it. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Civilizations over billions of years could have risen and fallen even before the Earth was formed.
Although the realization that the galaxy is teeming with Earth-like planets has triggered a revolution in conventional scientific thinking, as far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, it merely confirms what they have believed all along. The discoveries of exoplanets over the past few years have been absolutely extraordinary. I remember that the first time they discovered this first exoplanet, and me and my colleagues were saying, okay, this will be the first of many. And now, apparently, as many as 3 exoplanets are being discovered on a daily basis. So what we've said all along, that Earth is not unique in this gigantic universe, turns out to be correct.
This raises the question that we've been bringing up, that for thousands of years there's evidence of some type of visitation from other civilizations. Hopefully our scientists are able to now detect exoplanets will allow us to pinpoint some of these actual home worlds where aliens have been visiting us.
I propose that most of those planets that are in this Goldilocks zone have life very similar to ours. The only question is, was it them who came here thousands of years ago? While a growing number of mainstream scientists do admit that intelligent life can theoretically exist elsewhere within our galaxy, they also argue that the distances between those planets and our own are too vast for any extraterrestrial visitation to take place. It is a position that puts them in direct conflict with ancient astronaut theorists who contend that the keys to extraterrestrial space travel can be found in Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, and that a voyage to a distant star could take not centuries, but seconds.
if they're 1 million years more advanced than us. Just realize that modern technology, with all our wonders, is only about 300 years old.
In recent years, a growing number of astrophysicists have proposed that mankind's ability to unlock the mysteries of interstellar space travel might be much closer than previously thought. And they believe the key is by using a theoretically possible structure known as a wormhole, a bend in space-time that was first proposed by Albert Einstein, which could make travel times between stars not only shorter, but nearly instantaneous.
From the perspective of ultimate space travel, from my point of view, wormholes are simply, you take space, which can bend in our theory of general relativity, the modern theory of gravity. You bend it around on itself, so you have two layers that are apart, and you connect them with a tunnel. That tunnel is a wormhole. They're commonly referred to as stargates because it gives you a way to get faster than light space travel across large distances.
In theory, spacecraft that can create wormholes would be able to travel to distant exoplanets in just hours, possibly even seconds. If extraterrestrial civilizations far more advanced than humans do exist, could they have discovered the secrets of space travel hundreds or perhaps thousands of years ago? And if so, might they have even traveled here to planet Earth? Mount Palomar, California, October 6th, 2013. A massive red star in the constellation Pegasus, 10 times larger than our sun, explodes in a colossal supernova. For the first time, scientists are able to witness the death of a giant star in real time. But perhaps even more profound is the fact that because the dying star is 160 million light years from Earth, astronomers are actually witnessing an event that took place 160 million years ago.
So one of the things to realize about astronomy is almost everything we are looking at is in the past, because the light doesn't travel instantly. And a supernova is basically a star exploding. If it had any planets around it, those are wiped out. So if there was a civilization or if there was life there, what we're seeing happen now happened very far in the past.
The violent death of the star in Pegasus provides dramatic confirmation that the universe is both ancient and dynamic. But ancient astronaut theorists believe such discoveries also provide reasons why an advanced extraterrestrial civilization might need to leave its home planet in search of other worlds.
When astronomers look out into the galaxy for dying suns, if there were beings who had an advanced civilization around this dying sun, they would, in theory, want to migrate to another solar system, to another planet that they could inhabit. And it's quite possible that they did that and came to our planet. In fact, we know that billions of years from now, our own star, our sun, will go supernova. And we are very close now to being able to venture out or migrate into another habitable planet. We can extrapolate that to ancient civilizations as well, ancient star civilizations who knew that their own star was ready to go supernova, and they embarked on a plan of planetary migration.
Has the story of the cosmos been, in part, a story of the extraterrestrial migration of various advanced exoplanet life forms? As far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, the answer is a resounding yes. And they claim the proof can be found by carefully examining everything from ancient carvings to the religious beliefs of ancient cultures from across the globe. La Silla Observatory, Chile, 2011. Astronomers announced the discovery of a large Earth-like planet orbiting a star in the constellation Orion. The planet is located in the Goldilocks zone, and the star it orbits is very similar to our own, making it an ideal candidate for extraterrestrial life.
This because we want to have a stable solar system like the planet Earth. That's the goal.
As far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, this may be the most compelling exoplanet discovery yet, because throughout the world, numerous ancient cultures have told stories of otherworldly visitors coming from Orion, and even built their most important structures in alignment with that constellation.
All around the world, there are these ancient structures that have been built in the form of Orion. One example that comes to mind is the Great Pyramid of Giza, where the three pyramids are aligned.